A 989 millibar low-pressure system is anchored over the upper Midwest right now. Effective storm relative helicity is measuring 400 to 600 across central Illinois this afternoon. And the National Hurricane Center officially named Tropical Storm Arthur in the Gulf this morning. Pressure values that low in a non-tropical storm sound like a hurricane, plain and simple. Pressure falls of 1 to 2 millibars per hour are running across the Ohio Valley as we speak. That kind of cyclone deepening belongs to February nor'easters, not the middle of June, folks. Tornado outbreak in the Midwest, tropical landfall on the Gulf Coast, heat advisory across Oklahoma, all spawning off one storm. This is no joke, y'all. Springfield, Peoria, Decatur, Champaign, Bloomington, you are inside the moderate risk bullseye. It is Wednesday, June 17th, and the cyclone driving this entire mess is at peak intensity over the upper Midwest tonight. Now meet the protagonists of today's wild weather show, folks. A 989 millibar low-pressure system over central Iowa at midday Wednesday. That pressure value is nearly a record for the month of June across the upper Midwest. And it is still strengthening as it pushes northeast into Michigan through this evening, which means everything you're about to see, every disaster, every warning spins off this one cyclone. Midwest tornadoes today. Tropical Storm Arthur tonight. Mid-Atlantic severe tomorrow. Father's Day storms next weekend. All of it traces back to this single deepening surface low rolling across the heartland. Now to walk you through what the cyclone is doing this minute, plain and simple. A 90-plus knot mid-level jet streak is roaring across the Midwest at 20,000 feet. Underneath it, a 70-knot low-level jet runs just 1,000 feet above the ground, which means moisture shear and instability are all stacked vertically across central Illinois. Air mass recovery is happening fast behind the morning MCS that ripped through Iowa pre-dawn. Surface dew points climbing towards 70 degrees as the warm sector pushes north toward the I-80 line. Now here's what changed quietly in the 3 p.m. SPC update that nobody outside the weather room caught. The moderate risk shrunk slightly to roughly 3.2 million Americans, down from 4.2. That sounds like good news, but it is not, which means the northern portions where the morning MCS dampened things got removed from moderates, and the southern portions toward the Ohio River got expanded with higher damaging wind probabilities. Cincinnati, Ohio, and Louisville, Kentucky just got added to the enhanced risk orange this afternoon, which means the threat shifted south, not away, and the Ohio River corridor now takes the punch tonight. Here is a number most viewers have never heard of that tells you everything you need to know. Effective storm relative helicity is running 400 to 600 across central Illinois. For context, anything above 150 is usually enough to support tornado development. 400 to 600 is the kind of number you see in violent April tornado outbreaks. Translation: the atmosphere is screaming for long-track tornadoes between 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. tonight. And the supercells firing along the warm front will have all the spin energy they need to ride for miles. Dale, my retired engineer friend over in Toledo, Ohio, your turn comes between 9 p.m. and 2 a.m. tonight. The line of storms reaches the Ohio Valley after dark, sweeping east into Pennsylvania by sunrise. Damaging straight-line winds are the main play once the line forms, with hail still possible inside it. Have a flashlight, the weather radio cranked up, and the dog crate ready before bedtime tonight. Now to break down the timing window so you know exactly when to take cover today. Peak tornado threat runs from 4 p.m. all the way through 9 p.m. Central Time tonight across central Illinois. Discrete supercells will fire up between Peoria, Springfield, Lincoln, and Champaign through that window. By 7 p.m., storms approach St. Louis and start riding east toward Indianapolis and Bloomington. After 10 p.m. tonight, the storms congeal into a line and damaging winds become the headline through dawn. That line sweeps east into Cincinnati, Louisville, Lexington, and northern Kentucky before sunrise Thursday. Before I swing south to the Gulf Coast and Tropical Storm Arthur, I need something from you tonight. Tell me your county and your town in Illinois, Indiana, Missouri, Ohio, or Kentucky below in the comments. I rate every single comment, and I will respond overnight with the exact warning window for your zip code before the next round hits. That way nobody walks into Thursday morning blind to what crossed your county overnight. Now to swing south because Tropical Storm Arthur officially got its name this morning at the 11 a.m. advisory. That makes Arthur the first named storm of the 2026 Atlantic hurricane season, plain and simple. The center of Arthur is tracking north into coastal Louisiana through this evening into tonight, which means the rain shield, the strongest winds, and the tornado threat all sit on the eastern half. Houston and Galveston take the lighter side of the storm with 3 to 5 inch rainfall totals. Lake Charles, Baton Rouge, New Orleans take the heavier east side punch with widespread 8 to 12 inches. Margaret, the retired schoolteacher down in Lake Charles Arthur, is coming up the coast at you tonight. Pre-dawn tornadoes are possible across southeast Louisiana and far southern Mississippi by Thursday morning. which means do not sleep through the warnings, keep the phone alerts on, and the basement clear tonight. And get the family photos, the medication, and the insurance papers to high ground before sunset. Through Thursday, Arthur tracks east through Mississippi, central Alabama, and into the panhandle of Florida. Mobile, Pensacola, Tallahassee, and Panama City Beach take the brunt by Thursday afternoon, which means the next round of biblical rainfall hits before vacation crowds even wake up Thursday morning. By Friday morning, the remnant low slides into Georgia and South Carolina with another tornado spin-up risk. Savannah, Pooler, Charleston, and Columbia take a rainy Friday before the storm finally pulls offshore. Local rainfall totals of 12 to 15 inches are possible along the Mississippi-Alabama coast. Now to swing west because the heat advisory just went up across roughly 30 counties in Oklahoma today. Heat index values are pushing 110 degrees across central and western Oklahoma until 8 p.m. tonight. Oklahoma City, Norman, Lawton, Altus, Enid, Drinkwater, find shade, and check on the elderly today. Amarillo, Texas just hit 106 degrees this afternoon, pressing right against the all-time June record. Meanwhile, the upper Midwest behind the front is struggling to reach the low 60s under rain-cooled air. Here's the meteorological connection most folks miss between the heat dome and the tornadoes today. A 45-degree temperature gradient runs from Amarillo to Eau Claire across about 1,000 miles, which means the atmosphere wants to balance that imbalance through powerful jet streams and deep cyclones. And the 989 millibar low we just met is the atmosphere doing exactly that, no joke. Now here's the kicker that nobody on the cable channels is putting together tonight. That single 989 millibar low pressure system is spawning every single disaster on the map. The Midwest tornado outbreak spawned by its cold front and warm front intersection, Tropical Storm Arthur riding northward thanks to the upper-level wind pattern from the same cyclone. The Oklahoma heat advisory driven by southerly flow ahead of the same cold front. And the Mid-Atlantic severe weather tomorrow spawned as that same cyclone sweeps east overnight. One storm, 4 disasters, more than 70 million Americans inside the contours today, plain and simple. Now to flip forward to tomorrow because the SPC Day 2 slight risk stretches Kentucky to New England. 60.65 million Americans sit under that slight risk contour through Friday morning. Cities at risk: Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, Baltimore, New York, Boston, Hartford, Memphis, Nashville. Damaging wind gusts are the main hazard as the cold front sweeps east through Thursday afternoon. Quarter to half-dollar hail is also possible along the central Appalachian corridor by late afternoon. Frank, the retired farmer outside Springfield, Illinois, you're in the heart of the bullseye this afternoon. Between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. your time, supercells could drop violent tornadoes within 10 miles of your farm. Get to the basement the moment the siren rips. No waiting to check the kitchen window or load the truck. 2 flashlights, the weather radio, the dog crate, and the phone fully charged before 3:30 p.m. Now, most folks have missed this detail, but New England Thursday afternoon has a specific tornado window, too. Strong 850 millibar winds will still cover Vermont, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts early afternoon, which means if surface heating breaks through the morning clouds, brief spin-up tornadoes pop in line segments. Boston, Hartford, Worcester, Concord, keep the phone alerts on between 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. Thursday afternoon. Here's a Kentucky-specific update that just dropped from the NWS Jackson office this afternoon. Special weather statement covers 33 counties from Fleming all the way down to Pike County. South to southwest winds at 30 to 40 miles per hour with gusts hitting 45 through tonight, which means high-profile vehicles on east-west roads, including I-64 and I-75, face dangerous driving conditions. Sandra, my retired nurse friend up in Alexandria, Virginia, your turn comes Thursday afternoon and evening. Wind gusts around 30 to 40 miles per hour blanket the Beltway from D.C. out to Baltimore Thursday. Plus scattered severe storms with damaging gusts riding the cold front through dinnertime Thursday. Charge the phone, clear the patio, and keep the radio on through the 7 p.m. news cycle tomorrow. Now here's the kicker the long-range models dropped this morning that the cable channels are missing. After this cyclone exits east Friday, a brand new low-pressure system fires up across the Central Plains Saturday. Nebraska, Kansas, southwest Iowa, northwest Missouri, all under another severe weather risk Saturday afternoon. And by Sunday, Father's Day, June 21st, the energy slides east into the Midwest and Ohio Valley, which means the exact same corridor that gets crushed today gets crushed again Sunday afternoon. Springfield, Indianapolis, Cincinnati, Columbus, Louisville Father's Day forecasts looking ugly across the board. Honest to goodness, this is 2 outbreak events stacked inside 72 hours across the same corridor. Before I close this out, I want to hear from folks outside the Central Corridor, too, in the comments tonight. Live in Tennessee, Memphis, Charlotte, Boston, or any mid-Atlantic state? Tell me your city below, because Thursday and Friday bring you the back end of this thing that nobody has tracked yet on the news. And I want to make sure nobody on the East Coast gets blindsided by what comes off this cyclone tomorrow. Now, to hit you with something the long-range models are screaming that nobody on the news is reporting yet, after Father's Day, the pattern locks into one of the coldest summer setups in recent memory across the East. A strong positive PNA ridge builds along the West Coast through the end of June and into early July, which means Arctic air gets shoved down into the central and eastern United States for roughly 2 weeks. June 22nd through the 30th, well below normal across the Midwest, Great Lakes, and Northeast. And the European model is hinting at a second Arctic blast for the first week of July, no two ways about it. That is the kind of summer pattern we have not watched on the model runs in roughly a decade, folks. Back to the tropics for one more piece before we close out the storm summary tonight. Arthur is just the first. The East Pacific Basin lights up over the last week of June with the next 4 or 5 named systems forming. Saharan dust starts pushing into the Caribbean by next week, which should suppress Atlantic tropical development, which means the Gulf and the Atlantic coast get a breather through the first 10 days of July. Mark my words. Down in Texas, the triple digits stick around through Father's Day Sunday across the Panhandle in West Texas. Amarillo, Lubbock, Midland, Abilene, Wichita Falls, outdoor workers need shade breaks every 30 minutes. Overnight lows only drop into the upper 70s and low 80s, so the body never gets a break. Drink water, find air conditioning, and check on elderly neighbors twice a day through the weekends. Here's one more piece that ties this whole pattern together for the week ahead. Folks, within 96 hours, you go from heat dome south to Arctic air across half the country. Within 7 days, you go from violent June outbreaks to below normal cool weather across the east, which means weekend Father's Day plans need a backup indoor option from Pittsburgh to Minneapolis. And the pattern stays primed for another severe weather round across the Central Plains by mid-next week. All right, bringing it all back to the protagonist of today's wild weather show. Folks, 989 millibar low pressure, nearly a June record across the upper Midwest. Effective storm relative helicity at 4 to 600 across central Illinois, right at peak heating. Tropical Storm Arthur officially named the first storm of the 2026 Atlantic hurricane season. Pressure falls of 1 to 2 millibars per hour, signaling the cyclone is still deepening tonight. Add the Mid-Atlantic Severe Thursday and the Oklahoma Heat Advisory, and you have got one cyclone doing it all. From Lake Charles to Lansing to Oklahoma City to Boston, the same cyclone touches every region tonight. For central Illinois and Indiana, know exactly where you shelter before 4 p.m. hits this afternoon. Charge every device tonight. Move pets to interior rooms. Clear the patio before sunset across the moderate and enhanced risk zones from Iowa down to Kentucky. Down on the Gulf Coast, get supplies, photos, and medication to high ground before Arthur arrives tonight. Across Oklahoma water shade, air conditioning until at least 8 p.m. when the heat advisory expires. Mid-Atlantic and Northeast tomorrow, phone alerts on and watch the western sky after 2 p.m. Thursday. And for Father's Day Sunday, start watching the Saturday and Sunday forecast Thursday night. No joke. Here's the bottom line. This is a once-in-a-decade June cyclone unfolding across the heartland today. One 989 millibar low-pressure system doing the work of 4 separate storm systems at once. 3 consecutive days of severe weather stretching from today through Father's Day Sunday afternoon. And the pattern locks Arctic air across the eastern half of the country through early July. 989 millibars, helicity over 600. Arthur officially named. That is the headline tonight. Next briefing comes tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Eastern with damage reports and the freshest model data. Springfield, Lake Charles, Oklahoma City, Boston, keep the radio on and the basement door cracked tonight. And do not say nobody warned you when the warning siren rips across your county this afternoon.